Part 47. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 463. At this time, the scene fell into dead silence. Looking at Shen Jian, who was constantly drawing thunder and finishing blows, everyone present shivered. This is too cruel. God has friends coming from far away. Isn't this just whipping the corpse? Which friend can bear such torture? Some of the decayed old man had the strongest reaction. The old face was full of horror. It was broad daylight, but I felt like the blood in my body was frozen, and my hands and feet felt cold. The corpse-spotted ghost and him are both one of the 4 generals under the command of King Huai, and each of them is infinitely close to the unsolvable level ghost. He has the highest level of terror, followed by the corpse-spotted ghost. But in fact, the level of terror between the two is almost the same. Since this dog eunuch can easily kill the corpse-spotted ghost, he can easily kill him. This is a slap in the face. 36 strategies, walking is the best strategy. However, at this time, Shen Jian had already cast his gaze over. His expression looked a little sinister, and his tone was even more sinister. You know it, right? There is a rule for those who return to their souls. That means we can't let people know about our existence. Jijaja. Shen Jian said the last word and grinned. Rotten old man. Grass. Old man, I didn't want to know about the soul return in the first place. You exposed yourself because you were so selfish. What does it have to do with me? I am wronged. Don't worry, you'll be fine soon. Take a deep breath. It's normal to feel dizzy. Shen Jian approached step by step. The tone was so sinister. Malice is written all over his face. As if to say, relax, I'm going to kill you. Decaying old man. I'm crazy. This is even more terrifying. You. The rotten old man was trembling as he backed away. Looking at the malicious man in front of him, he was almost frightened out of his soul. Thump. He knelt. Under Shen Jian's lust, he had to give in. The whole ghost fell into a trance. Sir, don't kill me, I can be your subordinate. Shen Jian said indifferently, I don't need my subordinates. Slave, I can be your slave, and you will be my master. The rotten old man said quickly. Bah, spineless. The ghost-faced tiger demon came to Shen Jian's side with its head held high and rubbed against Shen Jian's thigh, like a kitten trying to please its owner. At the same time, it did not forget to spit, expressing its disdain for the rotten old man. It is shameful to be a general. General Shui had a cold face and stood respectfully on Shen Jian's side, staring down at the decaying old man and spitting at the same time. Rotten old man? No. Where did you two get the nerve to say this to me? The ghost-faced tiger demon and General Shui looked at him with contempt at the same time, as if to say, I despise you, what can you do? You. The rotten old man was about to explode with rage. I just felt my chest rising and falling violently, and I wanted to stand up and tear these 2 pieces of shit into pieces. But the moment he raised his head, he met Shen Jian's dangerous eyes, and humiliation surged into his heart. Finally, a forced smile appeared on his face. You, how are you? Master, I know a lot about Prince Huai. If you stay with me, you will never be disappointed. The old man said immediately. Think about it. Shen Jian withdrew his hand. Choose something valuable to talk about. Hear this. The rotten old man did not dare to be careless, so he organized his words and said quickly, Master, King Huai is now infinitely close to ghosts and gods. When he bloodbaths the imperial city and Emperor Yanjai's army, he can collect the 2nd soul Dan. By then, King Huai will truly become a ghost-level ghost, and no one in the entire Yanjai kingdom can defeat him. Soul pill. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Exactly. One day, King Huai suddenly ordered us to slaughter a small border town and block the news in order to collect the materials for the soul pill. It was said to be a pill, but it was actually the flesh and blood and resentment of the ghosts in the city. This kind of blood sacrifice, the supernatural creations that come out can be absorbed by other ghosts and increase the level of yin energy. It is precisely because King Huai took a soul pill that he has become infinitely close to ghosts and gods. After that, after trying the powerful supernatural effect brought by the soul pill, King Huai resolutely sent troops to the imperial city. If he succeeded, everything would be fine. If he failed, he didn't care, because the corpses of so many evil ghosts were enough for him to sacrifice again. A soul pill. The rotten old man explained. After listening, General Shui's face turned serious. Although he has always been weaker than King Huai in terms of terror level, the gap is not too big and he can still catch up. But being infinitely close to ghosts and gods is already out of reach for him. Fortunately, he broke out immediately. Otherwise, once he is targeted, he may really be suppressed and fall into eternal sleep. Yafeng's scalp felt numb as he listened. The top ghost king already belonged to an existence he could not imagine. An existence that was infinitely close to ghosts and gods was completely beyond his imagination. He couldn't imagine how to counteract such a terrifying ghost. And, according to the decayed old man, whether the battle failed or not had no impact on King Huai. Successfully, he was given a yellow robe and promoted to a ghost or god. After failing, he sacrificed his blood to soul pills, advanced to the level of ghost and god, and then wore a yellow robe. For a while, the atmosphere at the scene was pensive. Everyone looked at Shen Jian. Because the only person present who has the ability to confront King Huai head-on is Shen Jian. See it? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. He pondered. The others said nothing and waited quietly. King Huai is already extremely close to the ghosts and gods, and with the 30,000 elite troops under his command, I am afraid that even if the real ghosts and gods come, they will have to stay away from the edge for a while. In this case, it is natural to consider whether to go or not. However, in fact, what Shen Jian was thinking about was, should King Huai advance to the level of ghosts and gods before arresting him, or should he arrest them in advance? Soon, he had an idea. Let's go and see my buffet dinner for thousands of people. Shen Jian grinned. The smile grew stronger. Although you can directly harvest a ghost and god by waiting for the soul pill from King Huai's blood sacrifice. But in reality, it's not worth it. A Huaiwan can at most give a performance indicator of a ghost. But a top ghost king who is infinitely close to ghosts and gods plus an army of tens of thousands of ghosts can allow him to gain nearly 2 ghosts and gods. Even a child knows how to choose. At the same time, an uninhabited county far away from the imperial capital of Yanjai Kingdom. The morale of the soldiers was low. Sad and gloomy. In a courtyard, Queen Yongye is discussing countermeasures with the court ministers. The seats below were packed. The atmosphere at the scene was eerily quiet. The Queen of Evernight looked at the minister below with a gloomy face. She knows. They have a traitor in their midst. The news of the expedition was leaked, and the direction of the ghost domain was also known to King Huai. This resulted in them being trapped here. Deep in crisis. Your Majesty, let us surrender. At this time, one of the ministers said in fear. King Huai's large army has completely surrounded this place and may attack soon, and our way out is blocked by the ghost realm. We have tested it. Even the top ghost kings are intimidated by such a ghost realm. I doubt it. King Huai has been promoted to the legendary ghost and god. As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere at the scene became even colder. All the ministers were panicked and their faces turned pale. Ghost-level ghosts are legendary existences even in the Eternal Night Kingdom. If King Huai is serious about becoming a ghost or a god, all resistance will be in vain. The terror of a ghost and god is far beyond what a top ghost king can compare to. The kingdom of Yanjai could send troops to fight against King Huai, but it could not fight against a ghost and god. Think of this. Many ministers have some thoughts. It's alarmist. If King Huai is promoted to a ghost, then why would he use such small means to trap us here? It's you who openly surrendered under such circumstances. What do you want to do? Queen Evernight stared at the minister who spoke. Her delicate face was filled with a look of solemnity. The strong yin-chi fluctuations that are infinitely close to the top ghost king swept the entire audience. She was filled with gloom. Apparently, the Queen of Evernight also knows that the current situation is very unfavorable to her. If there are no changes, death in battle is the best outcome. Think of this. Her heart sank deeper and deeper. A feeling of powerlessness emerged. At this time, a grimace suddenly appeared in the sky above the county town. The yin energy was overwhelming, and an unwarranted supernatural oppression quietly enveloped the entire place. This moment, the ghosts were in an uproar. Everyone showed a look of horror. This is King Huai. It would not be an exaggeration to say that this method was done by ghosts and gods. 13th Princess, come out and meet her. Ghostface spoke. The faint ghostly sound spread throughout the audience. Everyone looked puzzled. 13th Princess? Who is this? Could there be a princess among the soldiers who went on this expedition? However, I have never heard of anyone having an heir today. The other side. After hearing this, Queen Yanjai's expression turned gloomy. But in the blink of an eye, it still disappeared. When it reappears. Already arrived at the city wall. Wearing silver white armor, with his hair tied and a crown, he looked somewhat heroic. Queen Yanjai stared at a tall figure under the city wall. She did not deny it, but said coldly, "How do you know?" Prince Huai had an umbrella hanging on his waist, and he was dripping wet. But strangely, what was dripping was not water, but ghost blood. He said with the same sadness, "Prince, before you were born, my people had already spread all over the palace. Others don't know your identity, but among these people, I am not included. Then why didn't you expose me?" Expose? Why bother? Ghosts and gods are what I pursue. If I don't become a ghost or a god, I don't even know how I died. Moreover, I think the throne paved with blood is more in line with my expectations. Prince Huai's tone was sinister, and his voice was even sharper. He stared straight at Queen Eternal Night and said with a strange smile, 13th Princess, don't resist, wait until I slaughter this place with blood and advance to the level of ghosts and gods. Then I will spare your life and let you become my queen. Listen to the conversation between the two. The soldiers on both sides were stunned. All of them were stunned in place. The current emperor of Yanjai Kingdom is actually a girl. Emperor Yanjai is a woman? How can this be? This doubt appears in everyone's mind. But seeing that the Queen of Evernight did not refute, the whole audience went into a rage. This means that the other party acquiesces to King Huai's words. Today, I am indeed a girl. What the hell? A woman? The emperor is a woman. This is really a shocking inside story. Once word spreads, the whole country will be shocked. The status of Yang Yetian, the queen, will not be guaranteed. If you think about it carefully, there are indeed many unreasonable things. However, because the Queen Mother is in power, there is naturally less attention to the Queen of Evernight, and no one interprets it too much. The ghosts were boiling. There was a lot of buzz. Everyone is watching this. Waiting for the Queen of Evernight's answer. Because King Huai has already given the answer, as long as she surrenders, she will not die, and she can even regain her daughter's body and become the queen of a country. Although her status is much lower, the queen is still the mother of a country. Compared to the status of puppet emperor, the status of queen brings even greater power. Roll. There was only one short word in response to King Huai. See this. Prince Huai's expression immediately became gloomy. Preparing to take action. The next second, a voice came out. Tisk, you are very brave to steal my man. The faint voice fell. On the city wall, a figure emerged. He has black hair, black eyes, handsome features, and a faint glimmer of color in his eyes. It was Shen Jian. Come here, let me see how brave you are. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Bulletin Chi Gua. Chapter 464. The appearance of Shen Jian undoubtedly pushed this matter to the top. Solving the disaster in the city god's temple, subduing General Shui, the right prime minister, covering the sky with one hand in the court, and even the left prime minister died out of hatred. It can be said that in the court of Yanjai Kingdom today, Shen Jian is truly the most powerful minister under one person and above 10,000 people. The appearance of such an important figure naturally attracted everyone's attention. Hear sounds. Queen Evernight was also stunned. Looking at Shen Jian, who suddenly appeared on the city wall, she pursed her lips, and her eyes flashed with emotions such as happiness, conflict, worry, etc. At the same time, what Shen Jian had just said echoed in his mind. His people? When did she become this little thief's wife? Does Shen Jian's words mean that he covets him? But isn't he a eunuch? This daring little thief actually has such a desire to covet her. Isn't he taking advantage of her? It's really shameless. The Queen of Evernight whispered. But at the same time as she was ashamed, she also felt a bit of joy in her heart. She knew that Shen Jian had gone to a small border town. It was an empty city and there was no danger at all. However, but for her, Shen Jian broke into this surrounded place of no life and death. This thought made her a little confused. No matter how hard she pretends, she is still a girl of only 20 years old in her heart. This age is the most sensitive period of a girl's heart. At this time, a young man whose age, appearance, and even strength was unparalleled in ancient and modern times appeared and broke into her life. Her frozen heart naturally began to ripple. Queen of Evernight. Current status, happy, complicated, conflicted, worried. Favorability, add 10, 78 ambiguous. Shen Jian glanced at Queen Evernight. Then he turned his attention to King Huai. A bit of emotion flashed in his eyes. In his perception, King Huai's yin qi level has reached 97,000, which is only 3,000 away from the level of ghosts and gods. It is true to say that it is infinitely close to ghosts and gods. There is no doubt that this is a high-quality ghost king. Except for the original Manchuo ghost, he had never seen such a pure ghost. The more he thought about it, the more excited Shen Jian became. At the same time, Prince Huai, who was dripping wet with ghost blood flowing on his body, also noticed Shen Jian, an uninvited guest. He looked at the mutinous old man not far away and the corpse-spotted ghost who had completely disappeared, and immediately understood something. His eyes immediately turned sinister. A dog eunuch thinks he has power, but he doesn't know that in the eyes of others, he is just a wild dog jumping up and down. A dog is a dog. How dare you try to become the master? His voice was extremely cold. Shen Jian's behavior of coveting the royal family was undoubtedly an insult to him. Haha, come here and kill you. Shen Jian grinned. He calmly glanced at the elite soldiers behind King Huai. He was suppressing a weird smile at the corner of his mouth. Afraid of accidentally scaring the other person away. Arrogance. King Huai was furious. The ghost umbrella around his waist had opened at some point and appeared behind him. A monstrous yin qi surged out. Terrifying supernatural fluctuations swept the entire place. Under the cover of the ghost domain, King Hui can fully exert his full strength. The oppression that is infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods envelops the ghosts. At the same time, crash! A rain of blood fell. The sky was dyed with blood. The rain of blood became heavier and heavier, and the raindrops fell to the ground, making a crackling sound. The supernatural power continues to spread. The fierce ghosts eroded by the blood rain all wailed. It was as if he had suffered an unprecedented supernatural attack in an instant. It's no use even hiding in a house. The sound of blood dripping became louder and louder. The house also became crumbling. This moment, the inner uneasiness of the ghosts reached its peak. Is this a supernatural attack by the strongest person in the Eternal Night Kingdom? Just one person left the entire city's soldiers helpless. How can we fight this battle? For a while, dark clouds enveloped the country of eternal night. Even Ghost King level ghosts cannot withstand the erosion of blood rain for a long time. The eyes of the ghosts changed. They all looked at Shen Jian. Queen Yongye left the palace, and without the blessing of the top Ghost King's strength, there was nothing she could do about this bloody rain. The only person on the field who has a chance to undo all this is Shen Jian. Hey, the blood rain seems to have no effect on Manager Shen. It's true. Even if King Hui is not a ghost at this time, he is almost like a ghost. Even the top Ghost King would not dare to let the rain of blood corrode him, but Manager Shen has no intention of resisting at all. Have you noticed that Mr. Shen's clothes are still clean so far? Do you know what this means? Could it be? That's right, feel free to be bold and tell your guess. Could it be that clothes are Mr. Shen's true identity? A Ghost King took a breath. The words just fell. A slap fell on the head of this Ghost King. Are you stupid or foolish for riding on a horse? God's clothes are his true body. Let them be corroded by the rain of blood. This shows that Mr. Shen doesn't take Prince Hui seriously at all. Mr. Shen is showing contempt for the other party. The underlying meaning is, I am standing on your home court, and you can't influence me at all. There was a roar. Gradually it reached the ears of King Hui. King Hui looked at it. Shen Jian just stood in the position covered by the blood rain, looking down at him condescendingly. His indifferent pupils were deep and silent. Through the other person's pupils, he actually had a somewhat absurd idea in his heart. In the eyes of this dog eunuch, he is no different from other soldiers, they are all ants that can be crushed easily. Angry. King Hui's blood surged. A wet grimace full of distortion. He was the only one who had ever looked at others like this, and no one had ever looked at him like this. At this time, Shen Jian said, Is that it? Is this your supernatural attack? Boring. Me. King Hui became even more angry. My fists were hard. Where did these eunuchs come from? Now he is infinitely close to the ghost-level ghosts, and the supernatural attacks he launched have reached the strongest power in his life under the cover of the ghost realm. Even a top Ghost King would not dare to stand under the rain of blood and let the supernatural corrode him. But at this moment, however, Shen Jian seemed to have violated the rules and did not take any precautions. He was eroded by the rain of blood but showed no signs of being attacked by the supernatural. How can this be? King Hui roared crazily in his heart. But soon, he suppressed the resentment in his heart, ignoring Shen Jian's provocation. Instead, he said grimly, I admit that you are a bit special, but this is not a war that one or two people can change. So what if you are special? You can protect yourself, but you can't protect the city behind you, let alone the city behind you. Soldiers living in the city. From King Hui's point of view, Shen Jian was very likely to be like him, infinitely close to a ghost-level ghost, but this was not enough to change the situation. As long as he restrained Shen Jian, allowed the two parties to fight, and finally used his blood to sacrifice the soul pill and advance to the level of ghost and god, he could tear off the dog eunuch's head and use it as a ball to kick. Then King Huai shouted, "Everyone listen to my orders and slaughter this place for me." The words fell. Soldiers who had been waiting for a long time, with murderous intent in their eyes, rushed forward to attack the county town. Vast and vast. The momentum was so great that even the earth suddenly trembled. Countless gloomy and resentful ghost sounds resounded throughout the sky at this moment. At this time, the blood rain is still falling. There was a crash. Hearing the order from King Huai's troops to charge, the faces of the ghosts were ashen, such as mourning an heir. The enemy had attacked and they couldn't even get out of the house. Even if he goes out and fights in the bloody rain, the odds are against him. This is a losing war. Many soldiers began to waver and despair began to spread. Players are watching this. There was also despair in his eyes. After all, no miracle happens. When King Huai's large army rushes in, these 2-star and 3-star players will definitely be the first to die. Already, there is no hope. This 5-star copy is their burial place. On the city wall, Queen Evernight looked at the mighty army. A feeling of powerlessness came over me. Too fast. It all happened so fast. When it was almost time for her to recuperate and accumulate knowledge, King Huai launched a general attack. She was just a puppet emperor who had only held partial power for less than 10 days. In a war of this scale, there was nothing she could do. "You, leave." Queen Yanjai looked at Shen Jian with complicated eyes. Prince Huai would never let her go. But Shen Jian had a chance. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Before he could speak, Queen Yangye had already walked over, grabbed Shen Jian's collar and pulled him over. At the same time, a pink lips and tongue were already printed on Shen Jian's mouth. Shen Jian? He was stunned. Was he forcibly kissed? Next moment, Queen Yanjai let go of Shen Jian and gave it a push. With a blush on his face, he said, "I'm taking advantage of you. Leave now and don't look back." Said. The Queen of Evernight walked straight down the city wall. The long hair that was tied up was flying in the wind, and the yin energy around her body exploded with a sense of determination. Sudden. She froze. Because Shen Jian's voice sounded behind him. "Your Majesty, I said that I will stay by your side. You stay away, don't get affected." She turned sharply. I saw. A silent, strange smile appeared on Shen Jian's face, and some majestic and vast words came out of his mouth. Lafatianchu. The sounds of ghosts and gods floated. The next moment. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Over the bloody ghost land, a dull sound of thunder suddenly spread. Immediately afterwards, under everyone's gaze, layers of dark clouds suddenly began to gather in mid-air, like avalanches of snow, rapidly expanding with a rumbling sound, spreading at an unimaginable speed. In the blink of an eye, it has actually spread to the sky above our heads. Among the clouds, the dazzling light kept flashing, as if lightning and thunder were brewing in the thick clouds. As the lightning flashed, the earth-shaking thunder became louder and more terrifying. It was like there were thousands of ferocious thunder beasts roaring towards the sky at the same time. This moment, the players were collectively confused. Thunder, thunderstorm. Yama actually summoned a large thunderstorm. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 465. High in the sky. Dark clouds gathered and thunder suddenly appeared. Everyone looked at all this with blank faces. Especially the hundreds of players who entered the dungeon, their pupils suddenly shrunk at this moment, looking ridiculous as if they had seen a ghost, and their eyes were full of disbelief. The ghosts in the horror game copy may not know what it is, but as game players, they clearly know that it is a thunderstorm. Large thunderstorm. A terrifying phenomenon accompanied by lightning strikes and lightning. Generally speaking, the temperature of lightning bolts brewing inside thunderstorm clouds ranges from tens to hundreds of millions of volts. One blow will kill both humans and animals. But now, what did they see? Someone single-handedly summoned a thunderstorm cloud that destroyed the world. A massive thunderstorm was created that only exists in imagination. This is ridiculous. This is simply not a power that humans can dream of. Only the legendary gods can do it. Oh my God, what did I see? Man-made weather is created by man. Is he a god? FCK, FCK, I'm so awesome. If I can pass this level alive, I will be able to brag about it for the rest of my life. The great Lord Yama has this kind of ability. We might actually be able to clear the 5-star dungeon. Take your maybe back. With such great power, how can a top ghost king be able to stop it? This moment. All players are excited. The rain of blood shrouded in dark clouds also dissipated. Countless people came out of the house to observe this breathtaking scene up close. Shocking. Sensational. Unimaginable. Various emotions emerged and finally converged into one thought. The gods have arrived. The other side. At this moment when thick clouds rolled in and thunder and lightning intertwined, I could clearly feel that there seemed to be energy fluctuations that could destroy the world and destroy the world hovering above my head. Prince Hawaii was also dumbfounded. A moment of chills. I'm crazy. I just made a draw. Did you open it up on the spot? Oh no. Are you humming cheating? You don't talk about martial ethics. Prince Hawaii's heart was filled with horror. A wet grimace turned purple. More and more ghost blood began to flow down. A supernatural reaction that was infinitely close to that of a ghost or god completely broke out. His body turned into liquid and merged with the ghost blood. The ghost umbrella floated in the air, absorbing all the ghost blood and closing it completely. Like a burst of scarlet meteors, fleeing quickly. Whether it was the thunder and lightning brewing above his head or the man standing on the city wall, overlooking him, they all gave him an unspeakable fear. I just felt like every hair on my body was trembling. The kind of fear that comes from the devil's instinct. Just like a beast facing fire, a sheep facing a wolf, and a ghost facing death. He had an intuition that the man in the python suit could kill him. Not to kill him, but to annihilate him from the source. There was no possibility of recovery. As time goes by, this feeling becomes stronger. Until let him escape uncontrollably. He is the majestic king of Hawaii, with 30,000 elites in his hands. He is only one step away from the ghosts and gods. But now he is running for his life like a coward in front of everyone. This humiliation made him resent Shenjian even more. Ghosts and gods, he needs to advance to the level of ghosts and gods to have a chance of revenge. Can't stay here any longer. That man is terrifying. He has no chance of winning in a short time. You must escape from here, blood sacrifice several cities as quickly as possible, and refine the soul pill. Otherwise he will die sooner or later. Then he ran away faster. The ghost umbrella transformed into countless branches, pouring out in all directions. Every umbrella is its own essence. As long as he had one to run away with, he was safe. However, at this moment, as the instigator, Shenjian's eyes were dark and indifferent as he glanced at Prince Hawaii, who had transformed into hundreds of ghost umbrellas, and clasped his fingers. Click. The sky was shattered like a mirror, with blinding glare and terrifying loud noises radiating from the sky. The same moment, Between the billowing clouds, there was lightning and thunder, and thick, nearly cyan lightning suddenly erupted, tearing the sky apart and instantly hitting a distance of hundreds of meters. It hit one of the ghost umbrellas accurately. Ah! A shocking and pitiful scream resounded. An umbrella stand that had completely turned into black charcoal fell to the ground. Part of the ghost blood wrapped inside has been completely evaporated. There is no trace of supernatural fluctuation left. King Huai's eyes were about to split. Each of these ghost umbrellas is his true body, and every time one is damaged, part of his supernatural power will dissipate. If half of it is destroyed at once, even he will be forced into hibernation. Think of this. He spread out even more. A hasty escape. These thunder and lightning seemed to fall only one at a time, and he was sure to escape from the attack range in a short time and escape. Just thinking about it. Boom. Just the next moment. The thunderstorm clouds made a louder sound than the raging waves and tsunamis, and the thunder snakes were swaying and surging, and the sky was filled with flashes of light. The momentum was astonishing. At the same time, dozens, hundreds of terrifying thunder snakes that were bright and full of destruction suddenly shot out. In a tenth of a second, they tore the sky and the earth, penetrated the sky, and blasted towards King Huai's army in an instant. Hundreds of Kisame clones. Oh no! King Huai's pupils widened. He never expected that this thunder attack would release hundreds of them at once, directly hitting all his clones. That moment, heart palpitations filled the whole body. Then, his pupils continued to dilate as hundreds of terrifying thunder snakes completely overwhelmed him. Boom 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 boom. Violent thunder roared across the sky. See it? Shen Jian's expression remained as usual. To kill a king of Huai, there was obviously no need to use such super-standard lightning techniques. But King Huai is just the main dish in this buffet for thousands of people, not the whole thing. Lei Fa Tianqulei is completely different from the thunder methods he has used before. Not only can it be released with the help of the divine ability of King Yama, but it also has different forms of expression against enemies. Take Xiao Lei, a single thunderbolt, appears as a white arc. Tai Lei, an enhanced single-body thunder, is purple plasma. Taiji thunder, one-way range thunder, is golden thunder. Gang Lei stirred up the sky and sent down a series of white yang thunder. Zifu Lei, one of each of the four colors of thunder, creates a small thunder pool and swings the four colors of divine thunder in a small area. And the Tianchu thunder he is currently using creates a large thunderstorm cloud, and cyan thunder snakes fall over a large area. Best used in large-scale wars. Like, right now. 30,000 elite soldiers may be run away if relying on other lightning techniques alone takes too long. But under the cover of Tianqulei, there is no such worry. Fall. Shen Jian spoke again. Standing on the city wall, he was like an emperor taking life and death, dealing the most fatal blow to the enemy. Boom. 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 More and more swaying thunder snakes poked their heads out from the thunderstorm clouds, blasting towards King Huai's army outside the city wall. Amidst the deafening thunder, outside the city wall, in a 5-kilometer radius, wolf smoke rose, thunder raged, and lightning overflowed, just like the doomsday coming from heaven. That is the anger of the gods, punishing the world. Showing the brilliant power of heaven. I surrender, I surrender. Stop bombing, everyone is stupid. Damn it, if you want to hit me, just hit it right on target. What's going on below me? King Huai, you are not a human being. You leave your brothers behind. You really deserve to die. Yes, I really rely on King Huai. The enemies outside the city walls were wailing. Within the city walls, terrifying lightning illuminated the sky. At this moment, throughout the county, Thousands of ghost soldiers and players from the Eternal Night Kingdom were shocked, trembling, and looking up in horror at the scene of destruction beyond the wall, as if they were being punished by God. That moment, everyone looked at Shenjian's back, which was facing them, with awe in their eyes, as if they were looking at a god. What the ghost soldiers saw were legendary ghosts and gods coming to the world one by one. What the players saw was a nine heavens thunder god bathed in thunder and awakening the power of heaven. Tell me, are there gods in this world? One player muttered absently. The worldview is about to collapse. How can manpower control such heavenly power? As soon as these words came out, all the players were silent. Before doing this, they would have said no righteously. But now, they are also confused. If this is not God, then what is? I heard that the underworld has arrived in Qingxi, and the city god has appeared. It is said that there are also rumors that the king of hell has awakened. Aren't these gods? It doesn't seem strange to have one more now. Hey, isn't King Yama the city manager of Qing City? Did anyone on the Supernatural forum talk about whether King Yama was a shady agent of the underworld? Now, I have the answer. I have it too. Me too. Add 1. Add 1. Add 1. The top 10 ghost masters in the supernatural circle with the ID Yefen were looking at Shen Jian's back with the same trance in their eyes. He also has an answer. The underworld has absolutely no such ability. In other words, Shen Jian's status is even more noble. And in today's underworld, the most famous one is the city god. The underworld god. Combined with Shen Jian's identity as the person in charge of the city, this guess is reasonable. However, somewhere inadvertently, he suddenly thought, does the city god of the underworld really have such power? But besides the city god, who else could Shen Jian be? Suddenly, Yefen was shocked. A ridiculous idea came into his mind. Hell, king of hell. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 466. Hell, king of hell. The moment this answer appeared in his mind, Yefen was completely stunned. A silent cry from the soul couldn't help but surge out of my heart. King of hell, that is more than just 2 words. He is also a god. He is the ruler of the underworld who is nobler, more majestic, and more terrifying than the city god. In the mythology of the underworld, the 10 palaces of Yama are far more famous than the 5 ghost emperors, the Yin Emperor, and the Fengdu Emperor. Looking at Shenjian, Yefeng felt ridiculous for his bold idea. Yama, is the king of hell in the underworld? What the hell, is this a joke? The thriller game actually chose a king of hell? This is simply a fantasy. The other side. Ignoring the frightened and stunned players and ghost soldiers inside the city wall, Shen Jian's eyes shone, and the excitement on his face could no longer be concealed. There are more than 30,000 ghost soldiers. Even though most of them are below the red level, the effect brought by the huge number is still astonishing. It can be said. Only King Huai, a fierce ghost who is infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods, plus his top ghost king generals, ghost king level generals, and countless ghost soldiers can gather the performance indicators of the 2 ghosts and gods. If you add together the fierce ghosts in Yangye Kingdom, it will almost be the performance indicators of 2 ghosts and gods. After calculating this, he captured 4 ghosts and gods in just one 5-star copy. There is only one left to unlock the 18th level of hell. Think of this. Shen Jian was in a great mood. From joining the horror game to now, he finally saw the opportunity to completely unlock the 18 levels of hell. Certainly. He now had to solve a problem. Shen Jian glanced away. It landed on a land filled with smoke and ruins. In a charred pit, a tattered ghost umbrella fell on top, and pools of ghost blood flowed down from the ghost umbrella. He became King Huai again. However, at this time, King Huai no longer had the high spirits he had before when the army approached. His wet body was covered with traces of scorch, and even the ghost blood flowing down had turned into a smelly black. This moment, he is no longer the strongest man in the Eternal Night Kingdom who commands the border, but a defeated and bereaved dog. See it? Shen Jian was not surprised at all. Because the reason why the other party didn't crash was because he did it on purpose. You won, but I didn't lose either. Looking at Shen Jian approaching step by step, Prince Huai's voice was hoarse, and his eyes were still filled with resentment, unwillingness, and disbelief. The way he selects and devours others shows that his vicious nature has not been eliminated. If you are not careful, it will come back to bite its owner. Snapped. Shen Jian raised his hand and spoke loudly, cursing and saying, "Huh? How dare you speak so harshly again? It'll be over if I don't slap you." King Huai. Grass. I'm already like this when I'm riding a horse, and I don't have the slightest strength to resist anymore. What's wrong with me talking? Don't you know that prisoners of war should be treated preferentially? Seeing Shen Jian's dangerous look, Prince Huai swallowed back the stubborn and unyielding words he wanted to blurt out. Because this hanging eunuch really knows how to reward his big mouth. Then he changed the topic and said in a stiff voice, "You have already won, what else do you want to do?" Shen Jian said, "Where did your method of blood sacrificial soul pill come from?" Hear this. King Huai was slightly startled. Then I seemed to remember something. A creepy sinister smile appeared on a wet grimace again. "You're done." Snapped. Shen Jian was not used to it either. A few big dicks were pumped out. The specific damage is not high, but the insult is extremely strong. After all, there were also a large number of ghost soldiers from Yanjai Kingdom standing at the scene. As the strongest man in the Evernight Kingdom and a top ghost king, he was slapped in the face in public. Everyone feels humiliated. As expected. Prince Huai glanced at Shen Jian with a vicious look. His expression became much more normal, but his tone was still solemn and he said, "Hey, you're done. Since you know about the soul pill, you should know that this is not something that the Eternal Night Kingdom can possess. It comes from an extremely terrifying supernatural place. Even the legendary ghosts and gods are not without them there, and there are even more than one or two. It was 7 days ago that I suddenly received their help. They gave me the method of blood sacrifice soul pill, and asked me to massacre the Imperial City and destroy the entire Eternal Night Kingdom. They'll get me out of here if I can help it." King Huai became more and more excited as he spoke. It was as if Shen Jian begged him and he continued. "Are they from the deep ghost realm, or should I say, are they from the Zhouju Yin Tian Palace?" Shen Jian pointed it out directly. King Huai. His entire grimace suddenly stiffened. He looked at Shen Jian as if he had seen a ghost. Damn it! He has already considered the content of the subsequent transaction. As a result, the other party now tells him that your so-called secret is only treasured by you. King Huai's mentality completely collapsed. "Looking at you, I guessed it right." Shen Jian nodded slightly. It clarified my guess. The person who gave King Huai the blood sacrifice soul pill was indeed someone from the so-called deep-level ghost realm. Now, he finally understood why Queen Evernight failed after countless attempts. The difficulty of the dungeon mission is inherently high, and there is a group of mysterious people who secretly insert bugs when players change the plot. It would be surprising if someone could pass this 5-star dungeon. Shen Jian's face was solemn. He thought of a more serious problem. The Deep Ghost Realm, or Lufeng Liutian Palace, is an independent world where ghosts and gods are imprisoned. Logically speaking, no ghosts and gods should be able to reach out to the horror world. Just like the man to ghosts and gods, if you want to escape from the Deep Ghost Realm, You need to completely dismember yourself and fall into a deadlock before you have the opportunity to forcefully escape. A thriller game should not leave any loopholes. If this is the case, it means that there is a flaw in the world of memory and consciousness of the Queen of Evernight, which gives the other party an opportunity to follow the clues. Thinking. Shen Jian showed a bit of disappointment. At first, he thought that this world-destroying ghost and god was hidden in the copy of Eternal Night Kingdom, but as time passed, he felt that he must have guessed wrong. This ghost and god did not stay here, but only left a secret door in the memory of Queen Evernight, allowing others to follow the secret door and interfere with Queen Evernight's memory. And the purpose is to trap the Queen of Eternal Night in her memory forever? Guarding the Eternal Night Kingdom all day long and becoming a living dead ghost corpse sitting alone in the palace in the sky. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. Although he didn't know how Queen Yanjai was promoted to the level of ghost and god, the mastermind behind the destruction of Yanjai Kingdom was obviously afraid of Queen Yanjai. This is the only way to imprison a ghost and god with obsession. Thought for a while. Shen Jian turned his attention to King Huai. What else do you know? I can give you the method of blood sacrifice soul pill. King Huai revealed his biggest bargaining chip. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. I'm not interested. Said. Shen Jian took away the method of blood sacrifice soul pill from King Huai. Glanced. There was a trace of disgust in his eyes. This time, he really wasn't interested anymore. This blood sacrificial soul pill method is very convenient for ghosts below the ghost and god level. All it takes is a blood sacrifice to a city of 10,000 people to raise Yin Qi to the top ghost king. 2 of them can reach infinitely close to the level of ghosts and gods. But if you want to advance to the level of ghost and god, you need at least 5 soul pills. This is equivalent to needing blood sacrifices to 50,000 powerful ghosts to help a top ghost king advance to the level of ghost god. This quantity is roughly equivalent to the amount of 2 ghosts and gods. He was crazy to choose this thing. Well, you've finished reading. According to the rules of the deal, you need to let me go. King Huai said coldly. Hear this. Shen Jian tilted his head. He looked at the parchment in his hand and then at King Huai, seeming to be recalling something in his mind. Did we just talk about letting you go? King Huai? He was also stunned. There's none? Wrong. The fact that you took my things is equivalent to agreeing to my request. And at this moment, my only request is to let me go. This should be a customary rule. You should know it without saying it. I didn't say it, you should know it too, King Huai reminded him. How would I know if you don't tell me? Shen Jian asked. To truly understand, there is no need to say anything. Don't I understand if you tell me? King Huai. Damn, the fist is hard. He wanted to punch this hanging man in the face. But think about it. Still suppressing his anger, he said gloomily, let's be honest, are you planning to let me go? Shen Jian's eyes were strange and he said, why do you have such naive ideas? You are dead and everything you have is mine. Why are you trying to bargain with me? Isn't this a debt? Okay, get in there yourself. Shen Jian dropped a soul-binding bag. He motioned to King Huai to get in by himself. King Huai? Even if you ride a horse, ghosts also have dignity. I am a powerful ghost that is infinitely close to the level of a ghost, and you actually let me get into a sack and tie myself up in public? Is there any royal law in this world? He was full of anger, staring at Shen Jian with a wet grimace, showing a look of choosing others to devour, and then, with this resentment, he took the initiative to get into the sack and tie the sack securely. Shen Jian was in a good mood. He ordered the ghost soldiers inside the city wall to hold a soul-binding bag and begin to put all the soldiers from King Huai's army into it. And he returned to the city. At the same time, the Scarlet Panel emerged. Side mission, Rebellion in the Kingdom of Evernight, completed. Note, it is detected that the player completes the impossible task, the reward is doubled, the experience is doubled, the thriller coins are doubled, and special achievements have been unlocked. Note, player King Yama has completed the Eternal Night Kingdom branch alone and has unlocked the copy inheritance option. Note, the current rewards have been incorporated into the game settlement interface. Looking at this scene, Shen Jian's eyes were calm. Immediately afterwards, another piece of information is refreshed. The players were completely excited. Main mission: investigate the truth behind the destruction of Yanjai Kingdom and try to reverse it, completed. This round of game has ended. It has been detected that the player is carrying a hidden mission. Current mission progress, 95%. Do you want to settle it or not? No. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 467. The main mission has been completed and you can enter the game settlement interface. When this line of scarlet words appeared in front of the player, everyone was in an uproar. His whole body was shaking. It's not fear, it's excitement. Past the level. They actually cleared the unprecedented 5-star dungeon, survived the battle between top ghost kings, and became the first players in history to get out of the 5-star dungeon alive. It is conceivable that when the news comes back, there will be an uproar in the supernatural circle. They will also be the hottest players. A sensation. Even if they enter an extremely dangerous dungeon next time, they will have enough endurance to face it all, and this is all tempered in the 5-star dungeon. This copy will undoubtedly become the most important memory in their lives. Certainly. Everyone understood that the reason why they could survive was all because of the figure standing on the city wall, with his back to everyone. That figure was slender, majestic, and as unfathomable as a god. In their eyes, Shen Jian has been linked to the gods. Many players were hesitant and seemed to want to add Shen Jian as a friend, but the word god made them hesitate. When they first entered the dungeon, they would greet Shen Jian shamelessly and become familiar with each other. After experiencing the disaster at the city god's temple, they would lick their faces and ask for a friend position. After Shen Jian pulled down Prime Minister Zhou, he had all the power in the government and the opposition. In the end, they were willing to be Shen Jian's younger brothers just to get protection. But after Shen Jian bathed in the light of thunder and unleashed doomsday punishment with every move, destroying the heaven and the earth, they cowered. It's not that I'm afraid of Shen Jian, but I feel that, such an existence can only be admired. Under such gaze, players entered the game settlement interface one by one. The short-haired man with the ID Yefeng took one last look at Shen Jian and sighed. He and Wang Feng, the person in charge of Okura City, have been good brothers for many years, the kind of people who can be trusted with their backs. After Wang Feng entered the territory of Qing City and was seduced by the black and white impermanence, he set his sights on Shen Jian. According to Wang Feng, it was precisely because Shen Jian, the person in charge of Qing City, who killed his younger brother regardless, that he was forced to use supernatural powers in the underworld and was targeted by black and white Vuchang. Because of this, after seeing Shen Jian enter the same dungeon with him, his attitude was very cold at first. But now, Wang Feng died unjustly. Being targeted by the underworld king, this is definitely the most glorious moment in the other person's life. Even this highlight comes at the cost of death. The other side. Hidden mission: reverse the fate of the kingdom of Evernight being destroyed. Current progress, 95%. It is detected that the player carries a hidden mission, whether to settle it. No. Shen Jian looked at the numbers on the scarlet panel. I have an idea in my mind. To resolve the disaster at the city god's temple, the task progress has reached 9%. Let the Queen Mother not come to court, and the task progress has reached 16%. The progress of suppressing the rebellion of General Shui, Prime Minister Wright, has been increased to 30%. After solving the Ghost Boy and killing Prime Minister Zhou, the progress increased to 60%. The current progress of defeating King Huai has reached 95%. A one-time increase of 35%. And the remaining 5%, if he guessed correctly, falls on the royal family. According to his understanding, the royal minister had colluded with King Huai. In the official history, he was an undercover agent who opened the gate of the imperial city for King Huai or delivered important information as a traitor. Now that King Huai's army has been defeated, the great worshipper who fought alone is in the memory of Queen Yanjai, so naturally it does not occupy much of the progress bar. In other words, he only needs to return to the palace and capture all the great worshippers and his party, and the hidden mission can reach 100%. At this point, all the major events that Queen Evernight knows well in her memory will undergo earth-shaking changes. The history of the destruction of the Eternal Night Kingdom will also be completely changed. Think of this. Shen Jian returned to the city wall. Your Majesty, fortunately you have lived up to your command. Shen Jian smiled. Look at the Queen of Evernight on the city wall. At this moment, Queen Evernight seemed crazy. The throbbing in my heart became more intense. Her eyes were slightly moist, and she wished she could throw herself into Shen Jian's arms on the spot and show off her cowardice. But only for a moment. She came to her senses. He pursed his lips and said sadly, "Little thief, no, my dear, you helped me solve such a big matter, I really don't know how to reward you." I heard this was a bit harsh. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows slightly. Glancing at the ghost soldiers and ministers who were watching all this inside and outside the city wall, they immediately understood something. He walked over. There was some frivolity and ambiguity in her behavior, so she leaned into Queen Yanjai's ear and lowered her voice, "Your Majesty, now that King Huai is dead, there is no one in this huge court who can threaten your status. You can resume your original identity. Tell everyone openly and honestly that the current emperor of Yanjai Kingdom is a female emperor. I will always stand by your side." Feeling the heat in her ears, Queen Yanjai quickly lowered her head, her heart pounding wildly. "Little thief, the ministers are still here, how can you behave like this now?" Queen Yongye pushed Shen Jian, but the hot air blown into her ears made her whole body feel numb, and she felt like she was about to collapse. To others, the pushing action looked like a pair of lovesick lovers. Lovers are teasing ambiguously. Ministers. Damn it. We old guys are not dead yet, what are you doing? The emperor of a country is living with an eunuch? What a system. This is simply ruining the reputation. In the future history books, the dissolute side of the emperor of Yanjai Kingdom will also be recorded. See this. Shen Jian also knew that Queen Yanjai still couldn't let go. Then he suggested, "Your Majesty, how about we go out for a walk?" Go out? Yes, Your Majesty, you have also seen that this finishing work cannot be completed for a while. During this period, you can get rid of your identity as the emperor and use your truest appearance to see your land and people. May I? Of course, I will protect you every step of the way. Shen Jian said seriously. Queen Yanjai looked at Shen Jian and blurted out, "Okay." Under the leadership of Shen Jian, the ministers could only watch as their queen was pulled away by Shen Jian and disappeared from sight. This feeling is very subtle. It's like the juicy cabbage you raised at home was taken away by a pig. Although the metaphor is not appropriate, at this moment, these ministers have such thoughts. At the same time, the two of them had returned to the imperial city due to the movement of the ghost realm. At this time, the imperial city was in panic because of Queen Yanjai's large-scale expedition. But under the command of the Queen Mother, it quickly stabilized. No one knew that under such circumstances, the Emperor of Yanjai Kingdom, who could influence the outcome of the war, was already walking arrogantly in the streets of the imperial city. And not a man's body, but a girl's body. Wearing an exquisite and luxurious dress, Rongqing Liuqiu's pretty face was lightly painted with powder, eyebrows, and lipstick, like a little girl who loves beauty. Show your true self on the street. Coupled with her coolness and lingering majestic temperament. Besides being stunning, it's still amazing. Shen Jian's eyes were filled with emotion. Look away. It is not that she has never seen the Queen of Evernight in the form of a daughter, and more than once. But never more closely than now. Black and bright, long hair that fell past the shoulders, with occasionally one or two strands of hair blowing in front of Shen Jian's eyes and caressing his cheek. It made him look strange. Your Majesty, you should try more different costumes. These costumes are designed for you. The Queen of Evernight paused. Overlook. A flash of blush flashed across her lightly painted face. Women all like sweet words, even the female emperor is no exception. The only difference is whether she is willing to listen to your compliments. Unfortunately, Shen Jian was the first man to break into Queen Yanjai's heart. His praise was like the strongest drug in the world, which made the Queen of Evernight confused. You, don't say this. Queen Yanjai's eyes averted, her face turned red, and she pushed Shen Jian. Queen of Evernight. Current status, shy, happy, happy. Favorability, 83, intimate. See this. The strange color in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. Not good. He may be committing the crime of deceiving the emperor. Your Majesty, you are so beautiful. Shen Jian caressed Queen Yanjai's face with a very serious expression. The other side. Hearing such straightforward words, Queen Yangye suddenly raised her head and met Shen Jian's affectionate eyes. The shyness in her heart deepened. This little thief was indeed coveting her. What he said about my people at that time was not a joke either. Love, dear, you are the minister, I am the king, we. Before Queen Evernight could finish speaking, Shen Jian had already hugged the opponent's waist forcefully. Feeling the heat on her waist, Queen Yanjai trembled and her whole body froze. I just feel like my brain is shutting down. She never expected that Shen Jian would be bold enough to blaspheme her in the street. She broke free from Shen Jian's clutches. She was so confused that she subconsciously wanted to escape, but the next moment, she was caught again. His hands were pressed against the wall. Here comes a two-handed Waldong. Your Majesty, what happened to us? We can't do this. With her hands held down, Queen Yangye couldn't help but turn her head away, trying not to look at Shen Jian's eyes. She was afraid that she would fall. How are we? Is that so? Shen Jian smiled. He leaned over and kissed her. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 468. Imperial City. On the streets where people were coming and going, many people's eyes would glance at a gorgeous girl who looked like a fairy in the sky from time to time. In the year of peach and plum blossoms, a woman is as magnificent as a noble peony. Walking on the street, it attracted a lot of attention. Especially men. Everyone from traders to princes and nobles showed astonishment. There is no doubt that this is a woman who has brought disaster to the country and the people. If she is the wife of a prince or aristocrat, her husband will definitely abandon his career and play music every night. If she is the emperor's concubine, it must be that the king is not in court, and a war can be triggered by just the breeze blowing from the pillow. However, such a gorgeous and charming girl was accompanied by a man who was nothing but good-looking. The man had a blood-stained hemp rope tied to his wrist, and his behavior seemed to be somewhat intimate with the girl. They see. The man will hold the woman's waist forcefully. Then he pressed the woman's hands against the wall, leaned over and kissed her gently. This moment, everyone's heart is broken. It's like the goddess in my heart has been desecrated by others. A long time. Separation of lips from lips. The Queen of Evernight is suffering from a lack of oxygen. His eyes were staring at Shen Jian in confusion, and his seductive lips were slightly open, making people want to take over her completely. Your Majesty, is that so? Shen Jian resisted the impulse for a moment and reached out to push Queen Yanjai's messy hair behind her earlobe, revealing her delicate face that was slightly flushed and too shy to see anyone. You, don't say. Queen Yanjai covered Shen Jian's mouth. Then she noticed the envious and jealous gazes of passers-by not far away, her face turned even redder, she pulled Shen Jian and disappeared through the ghost realm. Little thief, you are disrespecting me. Believe it or not, I will punish you for disrespecting the emperor right now. Shen Jian smiled. He held Queen Yanjai's boneless hand with his backhand and said perfunctorily, yes, yes, I am guilty. Next time I contradict His Majesty, I will tell him first. No, next time. That won't work. Before you contradict His Majesty, you have to speak first. Humph, if someone else had spoken like that, I would have chopped off his head long ago. Queen Yanjai didn't understand, but she still arched her eyebrows and raised her chin. It seems to be saying, because it's you, I didn't punish him. Shen Jian thanked Huang An very cooperatively. And said, I will do it again next time. After this episode, Queen Yanjai seemed to have forgotten that her hand was still held by Shen Jian, and the two of them wandered from the street to the end of the alley. Shen Jian glanced at it. Queen of Evernight. Current status, happy, sweet, shy. Favorability, 90, intimacy. Look at the favorability panel. Shen Jian was a little emotional. This Queen of Eternal Night is the one with the highest status, the most terrifying level, and the greatest power among the objects he has conquered. However, the difficulty of her strategy is not as high as that of Queen Mother Zhuang. Without her identity as the Emperor of the Eternal Night Kingdom, she was just an ignorant girl who was trapped in the palace all her life. She was lonely before the age of 10 and became a puppet after the age of 10. Once someone breaks into her heart, she will fall quickly. Soak up the beauty. Certainly. Putting on the dragon robe again, she would transform back into the emperor who ruled over the kingdom of Evernight. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. With a favorable opinion of up to 90 points, climbing onto the dragon bed is no longer a dream. Little thief, do you believe what happened in the dream? At this time, Queen Evernight suddenly asked. Dream? Yes, I often have a dream. In the dream, I find that the kingdom of eternal night is gone, and so are my people. Everything I want to protect is gone, and only a dead city is left. I am alone. Sitting on the empty dragon chair, he looked like a dead body. Shen Jian. He froze. Then he narrowed his eyes. It seems that this copy is nearing its end. The memory of the female ghost in Phoenix robe has become active, urging him to push the mission to 100% as soon as possible and let the new history of Yanjai Kingdom overwrite her original memory. But not yet. He hasn't climbed onto the dragon's bed yet and left his own mark on the Queen of Evernight. Now settle the copy, the gain outweighs the loss. He needs to let the Queen of Evernight remember him completely before settling the matter. Think of this. Shen Jian stopped. What's wrong? The Queen of Evernight turned around and asked. Your Majesty, do you want us to sit down somewhere and talk about our ideals and life? Shen Jian looked at a high-end inn. Huh? Isn't that an inn? What are you going to do there? The words have not yet finished. Swish. The Queen of Evernight's face turned red. He spat at Shen Jian. You want me to go to a place like this with you? You are a eunuch. After today, you are still you, and I am still the emperor of Yanjai Kingdom? Is your majesty worried about this? Shen Jian said ambiguously, don't worry, your majesty, we are all healthy. He specially emphasized the word we. And posted it? Queen of Evernight? She was slightly startled. Then, as if he felt something, he immediately pushed Shen Jian away, his eyes filled with shame. Are you pretending? Shen Jian nodded. So, your majesty, how about we go talk about our life ideals? I promise, we will only chat and not do anything. I need to think about it. The Queen of Evernight finished speaking. It disappeared in a flash. See this? Shen Jian didn't stop him either. A smile twitched at the corner of his mouth. She didn't refuse. It seems that the idea of climbing the dragon bed tonight can be realized. As for the inn, he hadn't thought about it. After all, this is the emperor of Yanjai Kingdom, how can he hand himself over in a small inn? Even if the Queen of Evernight agrees. Shen Jian will also ask to return to the palace. Stood for a while. Shen Jian glanced at the scarlet panel. Hidden mission, reversing the fate of the Kingdom of Evernight's destruction. Current progress, 95%. Looking at the progress bar displayed on the panel, Shen Jian looked calm. Take one step. Disappear in place. When he reappeared, he had returned to the royal ancestral temple in the palace. Last time, because he was worried about alarming King Huai and causing him to flee, he did not immediately arrest the gang members led by Dazone Feng. But this time, King Huai has been captured, and the hidden mission has reached the final stage. Even if he wakes up the other party, it doesn't matter. By the way, he also planned to learn more clues about the deep ghost realm, Luo Feng Liushan, from the mouth of this great worshipper. At the same time, in the bright hall, the big priest in the red coffin opened his eyes. There seemed to be some confusion in his eyes. Why did he wake up? What about the multi-layered ghost realm here? Why is it gone? How come all my friends in the audience are missing? What the hell, why don't you call him when you're having a party? The great priest was full of doubts and was ready to go out to investigate the situation. Then, clang clang clang. There was a sound of chains. Big offering? He looked confused. I saw that my limbs were fixed to a cross, and a chain locked my hands and feet. What made him even more stunned was that there was a red spear stuck in his heart. A question mark was slowly typed. He was stunned. Damn it! How long has he been asleep? Not only were all his friends gone, but he himself was also crucified here like an art specimen. What's even more terrifying is that he can't break free. The red spear inserted into his heart exuded a terrifying aura that could kill ghosts and gods. This showed that the mysterious man who nailed him here had the ability to kill him easily. Think of this. The great worshipper was panicked. He broke free from the chains of seduction. Tried to pull out the Rax Hasa gun little by little. However, next moment, a figure in the distance had already walked towards him. Seeing that the great priest was awake, Shen Jian was very enthusiastic. Hey, old man, you are finally awake. You illegally returned to the soul. According to our rules, we need to remove your bad luck. Big offering. God returned to his soul illegally. This is his normal long sleep. He frowned, glanced at the excited man in front of him, and suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. He was now nailed to the cross with this red spear, unable to resist. If attacked again, it is likely to crash. Then, a somewhat forced smile appeared on the old face of the great priest. Little brother, I don't know how to get rid of bad luck. Hear this. Shen Jian's face immediately showed a hint of enthusiasm. He took out a ghost knife, a steel fork, a long sword, a morning stick, etc. He said enthusiastically, okay, old man, let's choose. See this knife? It will eliminate all bad luck. And this steel fork, a fork of tetanus. Of course, there is also this sword, which can eliminate all worries with one sword. Big offering. His eyes widened little by little. I'm crazy. God is so unlucky, I think you are going to kill me. I've been unlucky for 8 lifetimes. As soon as I recovered, I met you, the living king of hell. Why don't you just wipe my neck? He stayed in Bangview. He desperately tried to pull out the Rakshasa gun and settle the score with the man in front of him. Unfortunately, the great sacrifice wasted a long time. He could only pull it out a few centimeters, and his own aura suddenly weakened by more than half. The supernatural fluctuations became sluggish. Big offering. It's his grandma's. What kind of dog nailed this on? Want to help? It seems to me that you don't know how to draw a gun. The great worshipper nodded desperately. Thank you very much, young man. Please help me pull out this gun, and I will go and get rid of the bad luck. You're welcome. I'll only demonstrate it once so you can see clearly. Shen Jian waved his hand. A helpful attitude. He reached out and pulled out the Rakshasa gun little by little. The big worshipper looked happy. This gun was indeed a supernatural weapon specifically aimed at him. It took him, the top ghost king, a long time to pull out a few centimeters, but this man could easily pull it out. Excluding the reason why this man is stronger than him, the only possibility is that this gun is only aimed at him. Soon, all the Rakshasa guns were pulled out. The yin qi in the great worshipper's body continues to surge, and his supernatural power continues to rise. He showed a sinister smile. Jaja. The words have not yet finished. Shen Jian inserted the Rakshasa gun back into his heart. And he said, Nyo, you saw it, this is how you can pull it out, can you try it? Big offering. Puff. He vomited out a mouthful of old blood. Hibernation passed. Shen Jian. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 469. Wait for the great worshipper to wake up from hibernation again. He saw the red spear stuck in his heart. He looked straight at it, and his whole body seemed to be stunned. Memories of the past also kept coming to mind. Ah! The great worshipper shouted in a broken voice. Horse riding. The one you are riding on is not a human being. There is no reason to pull it out and plug it back in again. Why don't you show it to me again? I thought it was just a polite word, but I didn't expect that you idiot really pulled it out and demonstrated it again, and then nailed it back to me again. You really deserve to die. The big worshipper's mentality collapsed. When he woke up, not only was the multi-layered ghost world he had arranged gone, but all his friends who fell into a long sleep were also missing. He himself was pierced through the heart by a terrifying red spear and was nailed to a cross. He finally waited for someone to help him, but he didn't expect it to be a square-headed person. He regrets it. Since this turtle grandson has such a straightforward mind, he should have used the ghost domain to leave as soon as possible. Old man, you're awake. See it? Shen Jian smiled enthusiastically. He curled his lips inwardly. If I had known that this old guy couldn't help but play, he would have restrained himself just now. Big offering. He glanced at Shen Jian. He expressed that he didn't want to talk to Shen Jian and gave him a resentful look. Hey, old man, why don't you say anything? I heard that people like you who return to the soul illegally are sick themselves. We don't accept sick ghosts here. You'd better get a formal visa before returning to the soul. Say it. Shen Jian was not used to it either. He directly took out a huge steel rod. On the steel rod, more than a dozen six-pointed dark red stars flickered, and the sound of wailing from thousands of ghosts could be heard. In just an instant, the surrounding temperature began to drop sharply. Big offering. You are the only one who is sick, and your whole family is sick. I have been a top ghost king for so many years, but I have never heard of illegal soul recovery. But soon. Looking at the black steel rod in Shen Jian's hand, he suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "Young man, I'm really not sick." "Oh, how do you prove that you are not sick?" Shen Jian said casually. "Big offering? What? You want me to prove that I'm not sick? How the hell do you prove this? You young man, isn't this funny?" Veins popped out on the big priest's forehead, and he had a wrinkled grimace that was so old that it needed to be revitalized. The expression was uncertain, with obvious changes in expression. Sometimes ferocious, sometimes twisted, sometimes violent. He suspected that this kid was just here to torture him. But he has no evidence. See it? Shen Jian looked at the sky. In half an hour, he would go to bed. Then. He said directly, "I heard that you know how to enter the deep ghost realm. Let me ask. Hear this." The great priest suddenly raised his head. There was a bit of surprise in his expression. Then. He understood something. "Did you take away the ghost king who sleeps here? Are you the owner of this spear?" There was no shock in his tone. After all, the level of this spear is very high, and the owner behind it is even more terrifying. The supernatural fluctuations left behind are enough to kill ghosts and gods. It is impossible for the royal palace of Yanjai Kingdom to have such an existence. The response was pretty quick. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and did not deny it. "Go on, tell me what you want to know, especially about how to enter the deep ghost realm. If you don't know, I will make you die in pain." The big priest's eyelids twitched. I hadn't noticed it before, but now I saw that this man was terrifying to the extreme. He exuded a palpitating aura, especially his pair of deep eyes. Just staring at him made him feel like he was in an endless hell. It made him tremble all over. This moment. He gave up completely. Trying to escape from such a terrifying being was simply a dream. Then. He became frightened. "Sir, I know the way, I know the way." "Explain." "Sir, do you know the administrator's authority?" Shen Jian was stunned. Nodded. "Managerial authority is what he will fight for next. He has been qualified for the Nanjiang District Championship for a long time, but because it has not been started for a long time, he has been shelving it. The winner of the Nanjiang District Hegemony competition will gain the authority to manage Nanjiang District and be qualified to turn the supernatural place he created into the City Lord's Palace of Nanjiang District. And it is said that he also has the authority to manage the entire Nanjiang District. Has various benefits. From the beginning, Shen Jian focused on this managerial authority. After seizing the authority of the Nanjiang District Manager, the plan is to use Nanjiang District as the starting point of the underworld and gradually encroach on the horror world. Fengdu City turns the horror world into an underworld. For this reason, he relied on his own hard work to instigate the rebellion of the City Lord's wife in the Nanjiang City Lord's mansion. Then, in the vampire copy, he heard more about the Nanjiang Hegemony tournament through his first love with the eldest lady of the vampire castle. It is said that the Nanjiang District Hegemony tournament is not only a battle for administrator authority, but also a major move by Thriller World to invade the real world. The selected managers are qualified to come to the real world in person and choose their own supernatural place. Shen Jian did not expect that the clues to the deep ghost realm were related to the administrator's authority. The great worshipper continued, "The city lord who has the authority of the administrator will open a supernatural road to the deep ghost realm in every battle for the authority of the administrator, allowing challengers to enter and determine the final winner." It turns out, that's it? Shen Jian was speechless. The road leading to the deep ghost realm was so close to him. So close that even if he didn't look for clues, the Nanjiang district tournament would start within a month. By then, he will naturally enter the deep ghost realm. Think of this. Shen Jian felt at ease. Even faintly excited. Whenever he thought of the glorious ghosts and gods, the ferrying ghosts and gods, the world-weary ghosts and gods, and the attacking ghosts and gods in the deep ghost realm, his mood swayed. What about Zhouju Yintian Palace? The great worshipper was even more shocked. But he still explained, the deep ghost realm is the name of the horror world, but in fact, the real name of the deep ghost realm is Luofeng Liushan, which contains 6 major areas. They are called Zhoujuan Heavenly Palace, Taishiliangshi Zone Heavenly Palace, Mingchen Neguo Wuchen Heavenly Palace, Tianzhao Sinqi Heavenly Palace, Zongling Cafe Heavenly Palace, and Gansilian Wansui Heavenly Palace. And what I want to enter is the Zhouju Yintian Palace. Of course, the local ghosts living there prefer to call the place where they live, Qingguo. Hear this. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Qingguo. This means that Zhouju Yintian Palace, one of Luofeng's 6 heavens, has been ruled. Can't bear it. Thinking. Shen Jian asked again, what happened to Yanjai Kingdom? The great priest was silent for a few moments, with extreme malice in his eyes. That damn old guy took advantage of the Qing Kingdom to establish the Eternal Night Kingdom in the horror world. According to the rules, he must embark on the supernatural road every 5 years. Donated half of the population of Yanjai Kingdom, but, your late emperor of Yanjai Kingdom broke the contract, and he wanted to instigate rebellion against me, but I refused, so I was forced to sleep forever. However, he will eventually suffer the consequences, and the entire Eternal Night Kingdom will also be destroyed. Hear the words. Shen Jian looked at the big worshipper up and down. Judging from the meaning behind the words of this great priest, it seems that he comes from Qingguo, a land of deep ghosts. Except Qingguo, how much do you know about the other 5 major regions? Have no idea. The simple words of the great enshrinement were horrifying, but he seemed to feel that this was not sincere enough. He explained, Luofeng does not interfere with each other for 6 days. Each area is equivalent to a supernatural world. I have a low position and have no idea about these learn. Shen Jian nodded. The harvest now is huge. Even if he doesn't get more information, he won't care. After all, as long as he can enter the deep ghost realm, everything is his. Very good, just stay here peacefully and I will take you away later. Finished. Shen Jian looked at the sky. Turn around and leave. Eh? Wait, you can help me pull it out. The great worshipper was shocked. Damn it, you really just throw it away after you use it. So damn heartless. Are you rushing to the wedding room for a night of flowers and candles? At the same time. Tai Chi Palace. The Emperor's bedroom. Shen Jian sneaked in. I saw Queen Yongye, who had finished washing and was sitting alone on the dragon couch with many thoughts on her mind. At this time, she had lost her male body and returned to her original appearance. She sat blankly, her mind wandering too much. Occasionally, there were 1 or 2 strands of wet hair that clung to her pure and flawless cheeks, adding a bit of charm in the coldness. His Majesty! Shen Jian shouted. This sudden sound startled Queen Yanjai. After discovering that Shen Jian was in her room, she looked obviously panicked, and then she pretended to be vicious and threatened, "You broke into the Emperor's palace without permission, little thief, you are getting bolder and bolder. If you dare to break into the Emperor's palace this time, will you dare to break into the Queen Mother's palace next time?" Shen Jian. His eyes were strange. I really want to say that he has lived in the Queen Mother's palace and become half the master. But when the words came to his lips, they changed into something else. "Your Majesty, I have obtained some new information, and I would like to come over and share it with you," said. Shen Jian approached. While reciting what the great minister said. After listening, The Queen of Evernight looked shocked. I couldn't come back to my senses for a long time. Is it because of this reason that her father, her brothers, and sisters disappeared one after another? There is a deep ghost realm where ghosts and gods exist, and the kingdom of Evernight is being targeted. Think of this. She frowned helplessly. If it hadn't been for Shen Jian's appearance, today's Yanjai kingdom would have been in pieces. The people would not be able to make a living, and the country would not be able to survive. Thinking. Her body suddenly tensed up. Because she didn't know when, Shen Jian had already held her jade hand, and her melancholy mood was finally relieved by being held by this big hand of cattail leaf fan. Queen Yanjai pursed her lips and straightened her back slightly, trying to maintain the emperor's majesty, and said, "Just talk, why are you holding my hand?" Shen Jian blinked, "Your Majesty, I'm here to talk to you about your ideals in life, such as what you should do in the future." Although Queen Yanjai was shy in her heart, there was no one around at the moment, so she let Shen Jian go. Then we agreed, let's just talk about life. Of course, where did your Majesty think of his ministers? After hearing Shen Jian's assurance, Queen Yanjai seemed to believe it. After pondering for a few times, he said, "Today's Yanjai kingdom will definitely not be able to compete with a behemoth like Qing kingdom. We need, What are you doing climbing up here?" "Your Majesty, I came to your door with information in the middle of the night and had to talk all night long. You can't just let me stand and listen, right?" "That makes sense, but what do you mean by climbing up?" "Your Majesty, wouldn't it be better if we hold hands, head to head, and lie on the dragon bed together to talk?" "This King Guo, King, what are you doing now?" "Your Majesty, I only give you a hug, I don't know how to do anything else." "This time of the Qing dynasty, my beloved, put on your clothes and behave so disrespectfully in the Taiji palace. How unbecoming you are." "Your Majesty, I'm cold, are you cold?" "This King Guo." "Your Majesty, I think it's not yet the third watch. We have plenty of time to talk about this matter. Do you want to warm yourself up first?" "I promise, I just..." "Little thief, I don't believe you anymore. Something strange is coming?" "Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 470. The next day. Early morning. The Queen of Evernight was wrapped in a silk robe, lying on the bed, and opened her eyes. She frowned. As if remembering what happened last night, his expression became embarrassed and annoyed. Sure enough, she shouldn't trust that little thief. The fact that I only hugged her was a lie to the child, but she still believed it and gave the other party an opportunity to take advantage of it. At that time, she should have kicked Shen Jian out when he entered the palace. But the Queen of Evernight bit her silver teeth and lowered her head angrily. She couldn't bear it. She is the emperor of Yanjai kingdom and the king of a country. No matter how ignorant she is about men and women, she still knows what it means to have a man stay in the dormitory in the middle of the night. She did all this voluntarily. At this time, the palace maid's order made her panic subconsciously. "Your Majesty, the Queen Mother is here." "What? Why did the Queen come here? Why didn't you inform me first?" The Queen of Evernight panicked. Subconsciously, he grabbed the quilt, wrapped it tightly around himself, and covered his neck. Even though she didn't have a mirror, she knew that her snow-white neck and body were covered with various marks, which were the marks left by some little thief without mercy. "Your Majesty, the morning court time has passed. The ministers saw that you had not arrived, and the Queen Mother did not come either, so they spread the news to the Queen Mother." The palace maid responded outside. "Queen of Evernight? Morning time has passed?" She looked up and it seemed like she really slept late. This was all blamed on someone who said that it was too early for the third watch, so she struggled for a long time. She also forgot when she fell asleep. She only vaguely remembered that when she fell asleep, it seemed that the sky was already slightly bright. Think of this. Her face became increasingly red. Just thinking about it? Queen Mother Zhuang has already walked over. Looking at Queen Yanjai wrapped tightly on the dragon bed, Queen Mother Zhuang asked suspiciously, "Your Majesty, what's wrong with you? The ministers all said that you didn't go to court today. Today is the important day when Qin Yujia returns from the expedition. If you don't come, Minister, we are already preparing to come to Tai Chi Palace to pay our respects. I was affected by the supernatural, and I am not in good condition today, so I delayed my morning meeting." The Queen of Evernight hesitated. The suspicion in Queen Mother Zhuang's eyes deepened. Because she always felt that the scene seemed familiar. And she also heard that after the shameless thief defeated King Huai's army yesterday, he left with Queen Yanjai and did not return to the palace until near dusk. This had to make Queen Mother Zhuang suspect that there was a problem between the two. But it is not easy for her to just lift the quilt of the current emperor. He could only use his peripheral vision to constantly look at the unevenness of the quilt on the dragon bed to judge whether Shen Jian was inside. Soon she was relieved. Shen Jian is not inside. Otherwise, the unevenness of the quilt will never be like this. She has experience in this matter. Then, after a few words of concern, she went to court on behalf of Queen Yongyet. Saw this scene. The Queen of Evernight has no disturbance in her heart. Before the change, the Queen Mother gave her the position of handling government affairs. She had to go to court even if she was sick. But now, she just wants to find the little thief who left marks on her body last night and let him give these marks to her. Eliminate. The other side. Next to the royal ancestral temple. The great priest stayed here all night, and his spirit was in a trance. He didn't understand why he was punished like this. Even if you are in a humming emergency, you can let me go first. What's the point of leaving me here? Just thinking about it? Shen Jian had already put his hand on the great priest's shoulder and pulled out the Rakshasa gun. Thank you for your hard work. You are the greatest contributor to this battle. Shen Jian smiled. Big offering? Next moment, the scarlet panel emerged. Hidden mission, reverse the fate of the kingdom of Evernight being destroyed. Current progress, 100%. Rewards have been stacked. Immediately afterwards, the game end prompt also sounded. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the Evernight Kingdom dungeon. The copy is being settled. Rating, S+. Experience gained, 1000%. Note, you have been promoted to level 53. Items obtained, Thriller Coin *20,000. Obtain a special reward, the position of Grand Marshal of Yanjai Kingdom. Note, due to the player's outstanding performance, the Emperor of Yanjai Kingdom, the Queen Mother and the ministers have promoted the player to the position of Generalissimo. Below 1 person and above 10,000 people you have obtained some permissions of Yanjai Kingdom, please explore on your own. Get special reward, Blood Sacrifice Soul Pill Method. Note, this supernatural method is owned by the Qing Kingdom royal family. If you own this item and rob it, you will automatically gain -100 good points from the owner of the item. Get special reward, the Redeemer of the Country. Note, players have unlocked special unique achievements and can explore by themselves. Get special reward, Emperor Qing's Hatred. Note, due to the outstanding performance of the player, you have been hated. If you enter the territory of the Dungeon Master, your life will enter a countdown. Real world. Shen Jian opened his eyes. Looking at the series of content prompts on the scarlet panel, he couldn't help but grin. Check them one by one. Needless to say, he holds the position of Grand Marshal of the Eternal Night Kingdom. Now he is considered the master of half of the dungeons of the Eternal Night Kingdom. He can mobilize the power of the Eternal Night Kingdom at any time and can enter and exit the Eternal Night Kingdom on his own. The blood sacrificial soul elixir method is useless. It was the owner behind it that interested him very much. And this is almost the same as the situation of special reward for King Guo, Qing Emperor. If he guessed correctly, this should be the owner of Zhouju Yintian Palace, one of Luo Feng's 6 heavens. Put it in the underworld, this is a territory that can only be governed by a ghost emperor. But now, a mere ghost can occupy it. Falling into a world of horror is undoubtedly a waste of natural resources. Think of this. The dim light in Shen Jian's eyes deepened. In the promotion system of the underworld, above the 10 palaces of Yama, there are also ghost emperors of the 5 directions and Emperor Fengdu, the so-called son of Yin Tian. Nowadays, he holds the position of the 5 great kings of hell. In terms of his ability, he is no worse than the 5 ghost emperors. But if he wants to truly revive the underworld in myths and legends, he must also inherit the power of the 5 ghost emperors. Perhaps it will be fulfilled in the 6 heavens of Luo Feng. He had an intuition that when he recovered Luo Feng for 6 days, he would inherit the priesthood of Ghost Emperor of 5 directions. A long time. Shen Jian suppressed the turbulence in his heart. Turn to check out the last reward. Redeemer of the country, the only achievement when the player enters a supernatural land named after the country. This effect will be automatically activated. Members of the royal family close to the player will have a destiny bonus, and the winning rate of the heir will be increased. See this. A bit of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. This achievement requires him to cause trouble. Members of the royal family he is close to have a higher chance of inheriting the throne in the future. Soon. Shen Jian withdrew his gaze. Traveled to the horror world for the first time. He looked up sharply. High in the sky, a heavenly palace wrapped in a ghost realm was located above his head. Shen Jian smiled. The figure disappears. When he reappeared, he had already reached the imperial city. The heavenly palace is the imperial city of Yanjai Kingdom. When he saw this place for the first time, he only saw the desolation of a city and the sudden appearance of the peerless empress. The second time, he witnessed the female ghost in phoenix robes sitting alone in the palace in the sky, and was trapped in his memory by obsession. The third time, he stayed in the palace, agreed to the request of the female ghost in phoenix robe, and saw the most magnificent empress standing in front of him. Today. This is his 4th time here. And he entered in his true form. This time. Everything is different. The once dead and lonely city is now full of traces of the life of evil ghosts. It was exactly the same as the imperial city of Yanjai Kingdom that he had seen in the copy. Shen Jian came to the palace. The guards here are still the same ones in the Evernight Kingdom dungeon. Manager Shen. Seeing Shen Jian, the guard said respectfully. Obviously the two of them had never met here before, but the guard seemed to be very familiar with him, and his eyes were full of respect and worship. Such a scene is so weird and eye-catching. But Shen Jian knew. This is the scary thing about supernatural beings. The moment he settled the copy, the female ghost in phoenix robes, the Queen of Evernight, formally modified and distorted her consciousness, completely resurrecting everything in her memory through the underworld road. In other words, this is the imperial city as it was when he just left. All people and things still exist. And according to the history of Yanjai Kingdom that he revised, it corresponds 1-to-1. Soon. Shen Jian arrived at Tai Chi Palace with ease. Queen Yanjai walked out of the palace. Standing in front of Shen Jian. The luxurious and exquisite phoenix robe is surprisingly red and dazzling in gold. The heavy golden phoenix wings pattern is almost all over the brocade. The gold beads dotted around the sleeves keep making a cooling sound. The skirt is long enough to drag the floor. Gorgeous beyond measure. Above her head, she wore a crown full of pearls and jade, and a bead curtain hung down, faintly covering her face. But Shen Jian knew how stunning that face was. His Majesty. Shen Jian called out as usual. The Queen of Evernight remained silent. But Shen Jian still saw that under the vaguely covered face, there was a slight blush with a bit of embarrassment. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Queen of Evernight. Current status, contradictory, complicated, joyful, reserved. Favorability, 99, intimacy. Shen Jian stepped forward. He gently held her cold jade hand. Pinch. Your Majesty, I haven't seen you for a long time, why are you so estranged from me? Shen Jian came over and gently rubbed Queen Yanjai's neck. Immediately, the marks from his kisses appeared one by one. It seems to be explaining the joy of that time. See this. The Queen of Evernight was completely unable to remain calm. She frowned and glared at Shen Jian, gritting her teeth. There was shame and confusion in his eyes, as well as the joy of seeing his lover again, as well as an indescribable strangeness. She is longing for Shen Jian. But the Emperor's Majesty made her restrain the urge to hug Shen Jian. Little thief, I asked you to help me. Is this how you help? Queen Yanjai said coldly. She actually had another sentence behind her, help me get on the dragon bed. But this sentence was too harsh for her, and she was ashamed to say it. Shen Jian said casually, Your Majesty, just tell me whether the goal has been achieved. Quibble. Queen Yanjai rolled her eyes at Shen Jian. Enter Tai Chi Palace. See this. Shen Jian also followed in. Close the palace door. Inside Tai Chi Palace. One can faintly hear someone's bewitching voice. Your Majesty, what shines on your face in the morning is not necessarily the sun. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 471. Time flies. On the dragon bed. Elegant and luxurious phoenix robes were scattered everywhere, and behind the golden gauze curtain, there was a mess. Ah, I deserve to die. I forgot that before I contradict His Majesty, I must first make it clear to His Majesty. Shen Jian helped Queen Yanjai pick up the phoenix robe with a smile, as if I deserve death for my crime. Excessive. Queen Yanjai no longer has the majesty and coolness of an empress, and even though she is as scary as a ghost, she is just like a little girl in front of this man. This made her ashamed and shocked. Unexpectedly, after being promoted to a ghost, he was still no match for this little thief, and was still dominated by the other party. The other side. Shen Jian glanced around at something. What are you looking for? Don't you still have a black and gold dragon robe that a man wears? What do you want to do again? The Queen of Evernight looked lazy, with a faint pink color remaining on her intoxicating face, and subconsciously said suspiciously. Shen Jian's eyes were strange. He leaned over and said with a smile, Don't you think it would be most satisfying if you put on the dragon robe, put on the crown, and sit on the dragon chair? Queen Yanjai was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Shen Jian's incomprehensible expression. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something unclean. Her pretty pink face turned red again. He grabbed the pillow and threw it towards Shen Jian. You are such a treacherous person, there is absolutely no way I can agree to your request. The things between men and women are meant to be practiced. How can this be disrespectful? Shen Jian said casually. Put the pillow back. However, Queen Yanjai turned her head to the side, with a determined look on her face, saying, You are making wild claims, but I can't agree to it. It is absolutely impossible for her to be exposed on the throne. See this. Shen Jian was not in a hurry. He had already slept on the dragon bed at night, and if he tried to control the dragon chair again, he would just go with the flow. Shen Jian sat on the edge of the dragon bed and asked. From your memory, you should have seen things about King Guo and the deep ghost realm. Hearing Shen Jian talking about business, Queen Yongye secretly cursed, how cunning, but she turned around obediently, her shy and annoyed expression quickly turned serious. I've checked, and this matter is indeed difficult. Although I have been promoted to a ghost and god, it is said that the emperor of the Qing kingdom is a world-weary ghost and god, and I am no match for him. Back then, I also tried to find a way to enter the deep ghost realm. Without exception, I was stopped. I was not allowed to enter that place, and other ghosts and gods were also restricted from leaving. In all these years, I haven't seen that world-weary ghost from Qing kingdom come to see me. You don't need to worry. Shen Jian nodded. He knew that Queen Evernight had misunderstood. But he was still a little disappointed when he heard that Emperor Qing had not come to see Queen Yanjai. After all, his 18th level of hell is now only missing one ghost and god's indicator to unlock it. By the way, how did you become a ghost? Shen Jian asked curiously. Judging from the series of events he experienced, Queen Yanjai was able to hold on to the kingdom of Yanjai for more than 20 years. Finally, after the country was destroyed, she was promoted to the rank of ghost and god. Such an experience is truly legendary. Hear this. The Queen of Evernight's expression became heavy. I relied on the soul pill to advance. Soul pill. Yes, it's different from the perfect ending you changed. The period I experienced was already 3 years later when I came to power. At that time, the disaster at the city god's temple broke out, and the Queen Mother, who was still in control of the government at the time, sent people to solve it. This matter came to nothing in the end. In desperation, she sent out all her cronies around her, and finally, she fell into a desperate situation during an attack and murder. It was this opportunity that finally allowed me to take control of the government. At that time, I had already noticed something was wrong in the court and made efforts to do so. In the 5th year of my reign, Prime Minister Yu led 3,000 soldiers to attack the imperial city, and was eventually destroyed. In the 10th year of his rule, the attack on the city by ghost babies broke out from a remote place. When the news reached the imperial city, the ghost boy raised by Prime Minister Zhou was already very close to the ghosts and gods. However, a dramatic scene happened. The ghost boy devoured the master and Prime Minister Zhou. I seized the opportunity and invaded the ghost boy's memory, causing his death. Then, there was the rebellion of King Huai that led to the destruction of Yanjai Kingdom. It was the 20th year of my rule. At that time, I had restored my true identity and entered the top Ghost King level. With my efforts, Yanjai the Kingdom of Night is steadily recovering. I knew that King Huai would definitely rebel, so I deployed an undercover agent and learned about the other party's conspiracy in advance. King Huai's failure was already doomed. However, just within a few years of the stalemate between me and King Huai, the great minister had brought human blood, slaughtered the kingdom of Yanjai, and 8 soul pills were sacrificed with blood. At that time, I was almost crazy. I ordered an attack regardless of everything. Relying on the blessing of the supernatural master, I finally killed King Huai and the great worshipper. Those 8 soul pills were my only victory. After listening, Shen Jian's eyes were strange. Damn it! What kind of humming heroine script is this? Although he had known that Queen Yanjai's experience was legendary, but after listening to it, he realized that if this luck was even worse, nothing would happen to the ghost in the phoenix robe. Shen Jian was about to speak, but unexpectedly, Queen Yongye was the first to glare angrily, "That vicious woman, why do you want to have anything to do with her?" Shen Jian? He was slightly startled. Only then did she realize that Queen Yanjai was talking about Queen Mother Chuang. "I'm doing this for you," Shen Jian said without blushing and without a beating heart. "For me? Of course, if I don't leave her on the phoenix couch, how will you have the chance to govern? So, I still have to thank you for your sacrifice. That's not necessary, said. Shen Jian glanced at the favorability panel. Pull away. In this situation, it is not appropriate to stay any longer. As for comforting Empress Dowager Chuang, that can only be done in the future. Real world. Hades. The 18th floor of Hell, unlocked. Unlocking conditions, 10 ghosts and gods. Current progress, 9/10. Looking at this scene, a satisfied smile appeared on Shen Jian's face. With his hard work so far, he is very close to unlocking the 18 levels of Hell and allowing the 6 paths of reincarnation to reappear. Not to mention the many benefits brought by the 6 paths of reincarnation, just the system reward of unlocking the 18th level of Hell was enough to make him excited. Every time an additional priest of the King of Hell is added to his body, his own status will be improved by 1 point. Today, he is the 5 great kings of Hell, King Qin Guang, King Chu Zhang, Emperor Song, and King Wu Guan. In terms of status, he is already higher than any ghost emperor. Gathering together the 10 palaces of Yama, he may be as good as the emperor of Fengdu and become the son of Yin Tian of the underworld. At that time, it was he who invaded the horror game in reverse and turned the horror world into Fengdu City in the underworld. Think of this. Shen Jian's smile became even stronger. He urgently needs a ghost god now. Think about it. Shen Jian returns to Yangshi. A phone call was made. Contact person, Xianzhu. Position, the contact person between the underworld and the Yang world, the only living Yin Chai in the underworld, and the inspection envoy of Daxia Lonke. Great God! On the other end of the phone, a surprised female voice sounded. Any clues? Shen Jian asked. What he was asking was naturally the leader of the Fallen Angel organization, codenamed Haze Angel, mentioned by Xianzhu in the destruction of Yangshi City God's Temple. The other party teamed up with vampire aliens to prepare to artificially create a god. Resurrection of a ghost named Angel. The real head of the Manchuo ghost he killed in the Happy Town copy also fell into the hands of this organization. We are still investigating, but the clues are already very obvious. We are following the traces to find out the opponent's base step by step. It will take no more than half a month to completely locate it. Very well, contact me as soon as you have any clues. After hanging up the phone, Shen Jian sat in the city god's hall. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes. Then, he seemed to have thought of something. He took out a seal from his body. It was a half-broken city god's seal, from the city god's temple in the copy of the horror world Yanjai Kingdom. The real origin is that the city god's temple in the real world was involved in the world of horror. Shen Jian looked around. The word Zhang is vaguely engraved on the half-broken city god's seal. This is the surname of the city god. In the era when the underworld was active, the city god's surname was Zhang. Shen Jian was thoughtful. This was the first clue he had seen related to the underworld. If the descendants of the city god can be found, he may have a chance to know what happened in the underworld back then. Think about it. Shen Jian dialed the number of Daxia Lonke branch in Qingxi. Mr. Shen, Qian Quan said in a respectful and nervous voice. Without him, the one who can make the underworld king personally call and ask about it must be something related to the underworld. No matter how bad it is, it will be a catastrophe. He couldn't help but feel nervous. Find someone for me. I've already sent you the photo. Hang up the phone. Shen Jian looked at the empty city god's hall with ups and downs in his heart. He didn't know if the descendant of the city god named Zhang still existed, let alone whether the other half of the city god seal was still there, but it only took a phone call to find it, so naturally everyone was happy. Even if he can't find it, he can accept it. Things from the previous dynasty cannot affect the development of this dynasty. Thinking. Shen Jian stood up. Disappear in place. Nearly half a month has passed since entering the Yanjai Kingdom dungeon, and the expansion work of the city god temple is progressing steadily. He also needs to go to the horror world, to Sweet Home Community, to the Villa of the Past, to the Ice and Snow Castle, to Huangquan Hospital, to the Bloody Paper Making Shop, to the Nanjiang City Lord's Mansion, to the Vampire Castle. Contact, feelings. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 472. In a blink of an eye, it was 7 days later. In the past 7 days, Shen Jian had lived in the horror world for a long time and traveled to various places, and he understood a truth deeply. When we meet again after a long absence, what greets you is not only a warm embrace, but also the enthusiasm that leads you through the tree-lined paths. Every morning, white dew comes in pairs. Such days lasted for 7 whole days. Until a piece of news came from Jian Quan. Mr. Shen, based on the information about the jade seal you provided, we have screened out the direct descendants of this jade seal. Are there any descendants alive? Yes, and the Zhang family is a well-known local family. Although the head of the Zhang family is almost 70 years old, his sword is still young. He is currently the head of the city in Handong province and has huge influence. He is Daxia Longke is one of the few official level 50 players and has an excellent reputation. Jian Quan said. A flash of surprise flashed in Shen Jian's eyes. It is indeed not easy for someone who is nearly 70 years old to still reach level 50 in a thriller game. What I'm looking for is in his hands. Jian Quan on the other end of the phone was silent for a moment and replied, "No, Mr. Shen asked us to find half a piece of jade seal. Based on online records, we found that this object is in the possession of the grandson of the head of the Zhang family. This person's name is Zhang Miao, a local college student. He uploaded a photo of this jade seal on the internet a year ago and has kept it with him. We asked the Zhang family, but no one had any impression of this thing. They just thought it was a scrap of metal from the ancestral home." Jian Quan's report on 1510. There was a bit of curiosity in his tone. According to the information he investigated, this jade seal is just an ordinary old object, and it is still worthless. The Zhang family obviously thinks so too. Otherwise, I wouldn't let my grandson take it away at will. But there is no simple reason for something to be taken care of personally by Shen Jian, the king of hell. It's just that they have no way of knowing its value for a while. Mr. Shen, although the Zhang family is just an ordinary wealthy family, Mr. Zhang from Handong province is a well-known figure in the horror game. He is one of the top 10 ghost masters in the supernatural circle. He vigorously raised the banner of Handong province. When Daxia Longke was founded, he was one of the first 10 founders. The reason why Handong province has a stable situation is also related to his being on the front line. Mr. Shen, although I don't know what you are investigating, but that is a respectable old man, and his family should be protected. Jian Quan's voice flashed with hesitation. He actually didn't want to say these words if it wasn't necessary. But if even the hero's family is trampled on at will, it goes against the purpose of Daxia Longke. He didn't know the reason for Shen Jian's investigation of this object, but they had also seen the underworld's behavior. The main theme is unscrupulous. Whether it is the rumored taunting bull-headed horseface, the life-threatening black and white impermanence, or the powerful ghosts that Shen Jian had promised to destroy 14 cities in Ziping province, all make people feel that the underworld is acting too domineeringly. If there was any conflict with the Zhang family during this process, it would definitely be something Daxia Longke would not want to see. Shen Jian's eyes were deep. I understand. Send me the information and I'll go there myself. Handong province is the neighbor of Ziping province. After he completely eliminated the evil spirits in 14 cities in Ziping province and sent a large number of ghosts to major cities, the probability of supernatural incidents breaking out was very small. Often, as soon as a supernatural event occurs, the ghost will enchant it. Sent to the 18th level of hell. The reason why it does not continue to expand is because the current number of Yinsha in the underworld is not enough to control the cities further away. But now, this concern disappeared. Clearing the Eternal Night Kingdom dungeon provided him with a lot of sinister materials. And Handong province is the next target of the underworld. Mr. Shen, do you want to go there in person? Qian Quan was shocked. Although Shen Jian has not yet acknowledged his identity, he knows that Shen Jian is definitely one of the underworld kings. What is the origin of this half-piece of jade seal? Is it worthy for the underworld king of hell and the gods of the underworld to go to war like this? Shen Jian hung up the phone. The 7 scarlet eyes on the back of the hand opened, and a scarlet ghost domain enveloped the whole body, and then disappeared into Qingxi. At the moment, the Nanjiang district tournament has not yet started, and the Fallen Angel organization is still under investigation. Finding the other half of the city god seal and spreading the influence of the underworld to other provinces have become top priorities. And this Zhang family can just be used by him. After all, building the city god temple is no small project. He needs someone to do it for him. If Mr. Zhang is indeed what Qian Quan said, he is undoubtedly the best candidate. And he is also a good candidate for the city god. On the move. Shen Jian seemed to feel something in his heart. Think about it. He took out the life and death book from his body. Above. A name is fading away. Zhang Miao. Lifespan, 2282. Time of death, 12 o'clock in the morning. Cause of death, drowning. Place of death, unfinished building. At the same time, Handong Province. A group of college students from a supernatural adventure club met to explore an unfinished building near the school. The person who organized this event was Zhang Miao, the president of the Supernatural Adventure Club. President, do we really want to explore that unfinished building at night? I heard that the place is haunted and is called a ghost building. It is said that some people encounter ghosts there in the middle of the night. We'd better not go there. A frail young man holding a camera said weakly. Hey, what age is it now? It doesn't matter whether it's a ghost or not. It's just someone spreading fear in this way to prevent other people from taking a fancy to this piece of land and fighting for it. A youthful girl smiled disdainfully. A posture of fearlessness. We still need to be vigilant. The ghost stories may not be real, but homeless people have always lived in that unfinished building. We are a group of defenseless people. If something unexpected happens, it will be too late to regret it. A man with glasses said rationally. Okay, for safety reasons, it's better to bring a stun device. Even if there is any danger, the stun device is enough to deal with it. Soon. Zhang Miao made the final decision. As the president of the Paranormal Adventure Club, he also firmly believes that there are no ghosts in the world. He has also always maintained a skeptical attitude towards the Ziping province erroneous incident that was widely reported before. I think this is someone deliberately creating similar topics to gain traffic. And tonight, he would personally break the feudal superstition. Soon. The group of people had arrived at an unfinished building. Facing the night. Went straight in. At this time, a gust of wind blew by. The 4 college students couldn't help but shudder and their hairs stood on end. This place is too gloomy. I heard that places with strong gloomy energy may attract ghosts. The frail young man holding the camera felt furious in his heart. You are too cowardly. With such courage, what are you doing in the supernatural club? The young girl couldn't help but roll her eyes. Stop talking. If you wake up the homeless people here, there will be a lot of trouble. The man with glasses interrupted the argument between the two. Zhang Miao said nothing. I just think this place is too eerie. Inside the unfinished building, the footsteps of the four people seemed very clear. Sudden. Tick-tock, tick-tock. A sound of water dripping came from the end of the corridor. The four of them were startled. I just feel the hairs all over my body. What's going on? Was that the sound of water dripping just now? This place has been abandoned for many years, how can there be running water? The frail young man wants to cry but has no tears. Coward, it's just the sound of water dripping. Maybe someone discovered us and deliberately made such a noise to scare us away. The words just fell. The sound of water dripping got closer. The tick-tock fell and kept ringing. It was like a reminder, hitting their hearts hard. This moment, everyone's scalps felt numb. Because the sound of water dripping was closer. So close that it seemed to be dripping right in front of them. However, looking around, there was no fifth person except them. Such a strange scene made even Zhang Miao startled. Next moment, the frail young man holding a video camera ran away in panic. Seeing this, the others also left. Where's the road? The exit just now is gone. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Miao's face changed drastically. They had been leaving the same way they came, how could they have gone wrong? But when he took a closer look, he saw that the door that was originally the exit had now turned into a wall. In the hallway, a capital 2 caught their eyes. Wait a minute, weren't we on the first floor just now? Why did we run up to the second floor? Zhang Miao blurted out. I was covered in cold sweat. He went out along the way he came, but ran up to the second floor. What exactly is going on? It's over, it's over. I told you that there is a ghost in this place, but you don't believe it. The frail young man held his head, leaned against the wall and kept mumbling. The young girl's face was pale, but she still pretended to be calm. It's too dark here. We probably ran to the wrong place in panic. We have to leave quickly, this place is a bit evil. Zhang Miao also whispered. Then, suddenly he noticed something out of the corner of his eye. Pointing at the man with glasses, he said in a panicked tone, "What's that on your shoulder?" Everyone looked. I saw that a piece of hair had been tangled on the shoulders of the man with glasses. Maybe I accidentally got it on while running. As soon as the bespectacled man finished speaking, he suddenly started coughing uncontrollably. The coughing became more and more intense, until finally, he seemed to want to spit, but spit out his hair. It was dripping with blood. It was like vomiting out hair, and at the same time vomiting out a large piece of the internal organs in the stomach. It hurts, my stomach hurts. The man with glasses knelt on the ground in pain. He was still coughing dryly. He coughed out more and more hair. With pieces of bright red meat. Ah! See this scene. Everyone was frightened. Fell to the ground. All this is so permeable that it is impossible for people to spit out pieces of hair from their mouths. Ghost. There really is a ghost in this place. For a moment, Zhang Miao only had this thought in her mind. Infinite regret arose in my heart. The next second. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound of water dripping sounded again. The young girl stood up. He walked to the toilet nearby with his eyes blank. Xiao Yan? What are you going to do? Xiao Yan. In the shouts. The girl turned on the tap. A coquettish color like blood flowed out from inside. Gradually, water overflowed the countertop. Subsequently, the girl stuck her head directly in. To drown yourself in the pool. The girl struggled violently, flailing her limbs, as if something invisible was pressing on the girl's head, trying to drown her directly. What are you doing standing still? Come and help. Zhang Miao shouted, hugged the girl's waist, and pulled her out with all her strength. Finally, the girl got out of the pool. A violent dry cough broke out. It took a long while. He told a piece of news that made everyone cringe. I just saw a woman following me in the mirror and pushing my head into the water. I screamed desperately, but I couldn't speak. There is really a ghost in this place. Stop being so pushy, come and help me. If I keep vomiting like this, I will vomit out my organs sooner or later, the man with glasses said intermittently. The coughing sound kept coming. Zhang Miao said, the only way is to get out of here. Do we really have a chance to escape? We're finished, the ghost has targeted us. Everyone's heart was ashen. An atmosphere of despair is spreading. Hey, why are you going out? Why don't you stay here and play with us? At this time, the sound of dripping water sounded again. At the same time, a gloomy voice also sounded simultaneously. The voice was cold and penetrating, as if it was ringing in their ears. But the strange thing is that they can't see anyone at all. Run! Zhang Miao's face turned pale. He helped the man with glasses and ran in the other direction of the sound. Run, run, we are coming for you. Another voice sounded. Sharp, exciting, with a certain thrill of hunting prey. This moment, all 4 people in the group fell into deep despair. More than one. There is more than one ghost in this place. A good adventure turned into a supernatural event. The situation now is that there is usually death from beginning to end. The only difference is that if you run forward, you can live for a while longer to pursue that glimmer of hope. Maybe, they ran out while running? With this idea in mind, Zhang Miao and his group ran deeper and deeper into the unfinished building. The other side. In a deserted building. There was a man and a woman, one a married man who looked to be in his 40s, with a pale complexion, and the other a woman with a bloated body. The two of them had the same weird smile on their lowered faces. This is the majesty of being a red-clothed ghost. Human beings have no power to fight back in front of us. That's right, that place in Ziping province is not for human beings at all. Fortunately, we have a ghost domain and ran to the territory of Handong province as soon as possible. Otherwise, we would have been caught by that man. The conversation between the two was filled with an unspeakable fear. It seemed that in the eyes of the two of them, there was a human being who was far more terrifying than the ghosts they were. It was so terrifying that they did not dare to step into the province where the man was. But now, the nightmare is over. As red-clothed powerful ghosts, they have covered this place with a ghost domain. Their existence is not known to Handong province at all, and they act recklessly here. Such a beautiful day.